bum 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 bum. Bum 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 bum.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of VeriTalks. I'm James, along with Andrew, Jordan, Scott, and Jeff. We're so thankful that you've tuned in today to join us. And on today's episode, we had the great honor of sitting down with our friend Danny Gokey, who's just an incredible artist. He's Grammy-nominated, Dove Award-winning artist, and just a really cool, friendly guy.
Absolutely. Yeah, we actually met Danny, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago. We were presenting at the Dove Awards, and before the show, there was a little get-together, and we got to meet him there, and have kind of stayed in touch ever since. In fact, I teach a class that's kind of about an inside look into the music industry. It's a college-level class that I teach, and had him actually come in and talk to the class via Zoom, and just share a little bit about what it's like doing what he does out on the road, on tour. And he did a great job with that. He was just got so much knowledge and wisdom, and he's just an all-around great guy, and so we can't wait for you to hear what all he has to say.
And an incredible songwriter.
Like,
he's written some great songs.
Yeah, he's a great singer, incredible singer, a talented songwriter. And I know Jordan and Jeff, you two got to interview Danny, and so I'm excited to hear what you guys talked about. And I hope that you all enjoy this episode with Danny Gokey of VeriTalks.
How's the family doing?
Family's good.
You got 4 kids now, right?
Hey, are we starting?
Well, kind of, sort of. Not
We're
really.
gonna. You know, we're starting. So I'm ready to go. By the way, but so
Okay.
I didn't know if this is like interview mode on or not. Yeah, we got 4 kids. So not getting much sleep.
Yeah, no, man. How are they handling the quarantine thing?
That's pretty good. I think it's all right. Yeah.
How old are they?
We got a 7-year-old, 2-year-old, 5-year-old, 8 months, and so
2, 5, 8 months, and what's the other one?
7.
Okay, gotcha. So,
We wanted to start with a couple of rapid fire questions for you, all right? So we're just going to alternate back and forth, and you just give us your first response, your honest response. Is that cool?
All right.
All right.
All right.
So first question I got for you is, what's your favorite meal?
Favorite meal? See, that's so hard because all of the above is the answer. Number one.
Right.
But I'm a foodie. But if I were to pick like one culture of my favorite food besides the American culture, because American culture is a smorgasbord, which is what I love.
Yes.
But Peruvian food is probably my favorite food out there.
Yes.
all right.
Your wife is Peruvian, right? Or Cuban Peruvian?
Yep.
Yeah.
Cuban Peruvian, half Cuban, half Peruvian. So she's a good cook. That's a good side effect of having that.
Awesome.
All right, so what's the last show that you binged and loved?
The problem with that, with me liking shows, is that my wife starts binge watching them ahead of me, and then so I started a new one called Designated Survivor, and she did it again where she started watching more episodes, so that I kind of give up. So I'm several episodes behind on each one of those series.
That's the worst. My wife falls asleep when we're trying to binge shows, and then I'm like, I have to stop, and sometimes I'll forge ahead.
Well, that's what she's complaining to me about. But the other night she falls asleep at 3 a.m. I'm like, that's not normal. I told her, well, I have to finish watching stuff. I can't be left suspended. And I'm like, well, this is kind of how life is. I told her this. I said, well, you're missing one fruit of the spirit. Guess what it is? She said, self-control. He's correct. I'm surprised she let me get away with that.
That's awesome. All right, what's your favorite Disney park and your favorite ride at Disney?
Okay. Me and my family don't like going there because, we love it, of course, but the lines, we're just not into waiting all day. Oh, man, it's too much. And, we went there. We ended up getting free tickets back in 2017 because I did one of Rock the Universe or something like that, and you get, Disney gives you those free passes.
Yep.
We had fast passes. We had everything. And, man, it still was just a nightmare. We ended up only spend – honestly, we had to spend just a couple hours there. Me and my wife are the same where we just end up leaving like, you know what? Now, the kids weren't old enough. That was back in 2017. So I don't think they're old enough to know that we were leaving. But if we went now, I think they'd have a fit.
That's funny.
Yes.
Okay, so what is a favorite concert that you've attended and you'll never forget? It's toughy.
I don't go to concerts much.
Yeah.
I know, right? That's so weird. Musicians don't go to a lot of concerts.
Yeah.
Well, and I think it's because, I don't know, we're around music all the time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's not like, I wish I did. Now, the last concert my wife loved that we went to was Lauryn Hill. And I wasn't a big fan of it because, and here's why. The arrangements were all so different than what I wanted to. I think she's been playing the same album for 20 years. And so, I mean, you can imagine that she's, she's probably tired of singing the songs the same way. Yeah, and, it was pretty powerful. My wife loved it. I wasn't a fan of the mix, but I think it's where we sat. But, I mean, it's still, nevertheless, it's Lauryn Hill, legend.
All right, so what's your favorite movie of all time?
Oh, man, you know what? I still think I hang out. Okay, if it's not for, I think Avengers is my favorite series. But I would say that, like, I think Gladiator still kind of holds a really special place in my heart.
All right.
Dude, I just watched that, like, last week because my
Gladiator?
son had never seen it. Yeah, and I was like, come on, let's have a little man time. We watched Gladiator together, the two of us.
So we're going to go with favorite singer from the 80s or 90s. Your choice.
Oh, man.
You got two rock singers here, by the way.
You got two rock singers here?
So you got two rock tenors right here. So you got to choose your words carefully.
My favorite was for a long time Brian McKnight.
Woo! Yes.
I always said he was every white boy's dream voice. Every white guy I knew, and Hispanic guy I knew, loved Brian McKnight.
Yep.
All right, that's a good one.
His riffs are just like flawless.
Dude, it's candy, bro.
Favorite athlete?
I think I'm dating myself now, but I was really impacted by Reggie White from the Green Bay Packers.
Yeah.
Just because of his faith.
Mm-hmm.
But Tom Brady would be my current favorite athlete because he's just, dude, he's a monster.
The last one here in this quickfire series, favorite dessert?
Anything with like a dark chocolate and like a raspberry or some kind of fruit that kind of offsets the tart with the sweet. That would be my favorite. Although I love apple pie.
Okay.
With good ice cream, a la mode, caramel ice cream. Oh man, I can't work on something. I'm thinking pumpkin pie and banana cream pie. And
chocolate banana cream pie. Have you made anything in quarantine? Has your wife made anything dessert-wise special?
So she's not a huge dessert maker. She has tried. Wasn't that great? She's more.
Edit that out. It's all good.
Yeah. I think she likes my honesty though. I'll tell you that. My wife didn't know the Lord her whole life until, her parents were atheists and didn't raise her in church. But my wife, one thing she says she always likes about me, because when she was in Miami living the life that you do when you don't, she's like, guys worship the ground she walked on, so to speak. And she's like, man, no one ever told me the truth. Like, finally got a guy in my life who is like, tells me the truth. Because I remember the first time we were dating, I was like, you're wearing that? I have 4 sisters, so I was kind of brutal. And she's always said that I appreciate that, because in Miami, guys are whatever. That's pretty, throwing out the wide net. But so she likes it when I'm honest about her cooking, honest about her hair, honest about her outfits. Now, obviously, there's a line to ride there, because she's still a woman and her feelings are still out there. Yeah. Sorry, that was a lot of information for that. But so she's not offended with it.
So, Danny, most people know you obviously from your introduction to all of us to the world through American Idol. And you did really well on that show. Got all the way to you finished third that season, correct?
Yeah.
So my question to you is, did you always want to be a singer? What were you doing before Idol? Was that something you had pursued?
I never saw myself going out to American Idol. Which is why I never tried out until the year that I did. And I remember, I finally watched it. I was previously married at the time to my first wife, Sophia, and she, she'd watch it all the time, but I was driving a semi, and I was working for the church at the time, and I never had time to watch it. And then finally one year we got DVR. I started recording it and watching it. And that was a year that I decided to try out for it. But I had no plans to do it. But before I did that, I was really involved at the church, full-time ministry. Even though I was full-time ministry and driving a truck, I just told God, I said, confirm it through my pastor. Because, I kind of trusted him. I really did trust him as a leader in my life. And that, that I was submitted to him, so to speak, in a way, and I got his blessing, and I went out, and my wife ended up passing away unexpectedly a month before. So really the path of my life changed drastically in that moment. So it was very, I guess when I did finally conceive of it, it wasn't long after that I got on the show, and the rest is history.
And you really pursued the show because your wife asked you to, correct? Or she said,
yeah,
hey,
well, once I told her I would do it, because I think she always wanted me to do it. I just never was open to it. Once I finally was like, hey, I'm going to do this, she was really excited.
Yeah.
And so that's when, so it was a wild ride from that point. Because we didn't know what we were about to walk through. And so it opened up a whole new world for me in the midst of grieving.
Right.
Yeah.
I kind of did this, you always knew you wanted to be a singer and a performer from a young age, right? You grew up.
Well, I would say I like to sing, but I had people in life kind of push me towards it.
Yeah.
I think at 19 is when it really was like, this is what I want.
Tell us a little bit about Idol and what that was like for you and how you feel like that shaped your future.
Here's how I think it shaped my future. I was so entrenched in church, and I loved it. Church was my life. Grandfather was a pastor, raised up in a family where we were musical and we sang. I have 4 sisters and a brother, and my mom, dad, and all 6 of us kids would sing in front of the church. And then, as I became a worship leader, literally I was just entrenched and loved it, and serving and leading worship. But when I got on Idol, there was a realization that I had, is that, wow, the world, people I don't think some of the contestants didn't understand how I talked about God and why I would say a few things. I really had this moment where I realized, wow, my language, the world doesn't understand my language, because really church was my life. And if we're to be a light in the world, you can't speak these church phrases. People are just not going to understand that. In church phrases, there's a way that we talk, and there's a way that we joke around with church jokes, and the world's like, what is that? Yeah, and it really opened up my vision for how I wanted to make my music. And not a lot of people know this, but when I came off the show, well, I guess this is the precursor to that, is that I saw how music was this common denominator amongst people who never would go to church, no matter what race or nationality you were, no matter what you believed and what you didn't believe. It didn't matter. Music was the common denominator that brought everyone together. And it was from that moment that I said, I want to use music in my life to be able to unite us, and not only unite us, but at the same time bring hope. And so I actually signed a country record deal when I first came off American Idol, because I just was hoping, I wanted to have a platform that wouldn't exclude anybody. And I think a lot of times with Christian music, we tend to exclude people sometimes, not intentionally. Now, this is not an intentional thing, but we write in such a way that people who maybe have never walked in church, they would probably think it's foolishness what's being said. Yeah. And so my country record deal did not pan out. And then lo and behold, you know, I remember the Lord spoke to me that morning when I got dropped on my record deal that he was transitioning me. And God started unveiling the plan that he had. You know, one thing I love about God is that you can go in a direction and God, you know, as long as you're doing this by faith, God can turn you in the direction you need to go to. And that door was shut. But now I see it as like, when I sit down to write a song, I try to write it in such a way that would the world understand this and would the church understand this? And I guess when I say would the world understand it, is it a light in a dark place? Is it inclusive or is it exclusive? You know, and does it lead people somewhere? And so that's how I write music, and that really opened my eyes. And now I'm working on a new project right now that I think is going to be another aspect of how we reach the world with the gospel. So I'm producing a TV show now called Better Than I Found It. We filmed 6 episodes, but it's in this TV show that I'm producing that I think is the next step. And it's so hard to explain. I have like so much to say about it, but all I can say is that I want to let my light so shine before men that they may see my good works and glorify my Father in heaven. That's the whole purpose. And that's how I try to write my music, that the light shines and that it draws people and that it would lead people to the Father.
How do I communicate to a world that needs to hear a message of hope and another world that, you know, you were talking about as Christians, we have a tendency to have our own language. And so in some ways you're getting bombarded from both sides. You know, you have people in the Christian world that don't understand why you're doing what you're doing. And then you have people in the quote unquote secular world that don't understand either. So how do you find that balance? How do you deal with that struggle and joy process?
That's a great question, because let's just be honest, guys. If we don't appeal to our market, we don't have jobs. So I think one of the biggest struggles is, well, if I don't do it this way, radio won't play me. If I don't do it this way, churches won't book me. And then, and if I'm too far in the middle, then, you know, that might not appeal to anybody.
Right. No identity at all. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I've been riding this line and trying to figure it out. And I think the TV piece is where I think it's going to be its own platform. And I think it's when you have your own platform. So let's take an idea of what platforms look like. You know, radio's a platform. TV is a platform. Right. Church is a platform. I think this wasn't the basis of the idea for the TV show. The TV show was just something I felt like God told me to build. But I think one of the secondary components of the TV show is a platform where I think we'll get millions of eyeballs to look at it. And when you release a song on it, it's just another platform where millions of people will go to look. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so I think one of the ways to break into markets is creating platforms. You know what I mean? And creating the place, because not everyone is going to get it, you know, and platforms take time to build, and it might not take off. I hope I'm not being confusing, and I hope it's not sounding prideful, but it's let me explain what the TV show is called, Better Than I Found It.
Yeah.
And I used to have an organization called Sophia's Heart. When my first wife passed away unexpectedly, we had health benefits through her job, and unexpectedly, I didn't know that there was a death benefit, meaning that they gave us a little bit of insurance money for me when she passed away to help take care of me as I refigure out life. I took that insurance money. I founded an organization called Sophia's Heart. A man gave me a 77,000 square foot hospital for $10. I started taking in homeless families, started redoing the facility. A couple of years in, I had to shut the organization down because it was a brand new project for me. I didn't know how to raise funds to keep it going. One of the saddest days of my life. So now my vision, I sold that building and I replaced the families, and I started a new organization called Better Than I Found It. And with this organization, we go find people like me. And I guess people who do a lot more than me. We're trying to find the Mother Teresa's of our day, the Martin Luther King Jr.'s of our day, the game changers, the change makers. And we want to hear their stories. We want to see what the organizations are doing. But it has the Better Than I Found It component is like Extreme Home Makeover, where we find what they need. and we provide it, we build it, we resource it. And so we've already filmed 6 episodes. It's so cool. We built kitchens. I believe in the future we're going to be building schools, orphanages in one episode. But I'm trying to mix pop culture with music, with social justice. So in this platform, since I'm a musician, music's going to be all over it. You know what I mean?
That's
but I
great.
think more than just the music, though, we're just letting our light so shine before men that they see our good works and glorify our Father in heaven. And so anyways, that's the platform. And I want to mix that pop culture, which is the music piece, with social justice. And, you know, I believe that God has told me to build it, and I'm going to build it. But I believe like that's a platform that I believe other artists, not just myself, but I'm having other artists come on and release music on and be a part of the episodes. And so it's one of those types of things, you know, that I'm just building. We'll see where it goes.
But that's awesome, man. That's really cool. That's amazing. Just the entrepreneurial spirit that you have and the ability that you have to help other people and using that and being really, really smart about it.
And it is a step of faith. I hired a production company. If no one picks it up, I'll release it myself. I'll release it on my own YouTube channel. Like I'm willing to risk it all, you know, then be safe. And, you know, here's what I feel like. No, I feel like Noah building the ark, and I'm like, all right, God, you got to make it rain. Because remember, it had not rained. At least that's what I hear. It never rained on the earth until Noah got in the ark.
Mm-hmm.
And
that's why nobody believed him.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But he had a word from the Lord, and God had given him a key. And so God has given me a lot of confirmation that I'm on the right track. And it's a risk. I wonder maybe sometimes things aren't done because some Christians are scared to listen to that voice, because it does require faith. Like when Abraham, look who showed up. Hey, buddy.
Hey, what's up?
Right now. This is my son, Danny.
Danny
Jr.
This is Danny Jr.
What's up, Danny? Thanks for letting us talk with your dad for a little while.
All right, let me finish the interview. Okay, love you, buddy. Nope. You know how many people have missed opportunities because the cost was too much. Abraham was about to sacrifice his son. That sounded crazy, right?
You've always been very much a forward thinker, always thinking about the next big idea, kind of what can I do to make myself relevant and make it be an influencer. And you know, you've done that with your music career. You wrote a book, Hope in Front of Me, that inspired so many dealing with difficulties in their life. You have a great record that came out in 2019. Just haven't seen it yet. I mean, you've always kind of just been moving forward, and now here's this next big idea. You know, what is it that drives you, that just keeps you thinking about that next big thing? And how do you overcome those what ifs or the doubt moving forward?
Yeah. You know, what keeps driving me is, I guess I feel like it's the voice of God. This TV project has been in me since 2015. And it's taken 5 years to kind of pray it out. It's releasing this year in November. We have November 10th as our release date.
Wow.
I remember when I felt like the Lord speaking to me in 2015 as I was praying. And God has given me a lot of confirmation since. But then I ended up getting a TV deal from a production company in LA to shoot a pilot for a TV show. And then when that went away, like we finally filmed it and no one picked it up, I was like, God, what is going on? Like it's taking trial and error. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And just like as when God speaks something to you, you start exploring that thing. And it gives you faith. When God speaks, you have faith to believe it, you know? Faith comes by hearing and hearing the word of God. When I heard in my spirit the Lord say, pursue it, you know, it brought faith in me. So I think the number one thing that keeps me going forward is like having that inner confirmation of God's voice speaking, because that's where your faith is built up. I wouldn't be doing this if I had no faith to do it, because it's very costly.
So I wanted to ask you where people can find your music, how they can stay connected with you, what you're doing, and so they know when your next big idea is coming out, you know?
I would say people just follow me on social media because I really saw the information there. But betterthanafoundit.org is the organization that we're building the website for the TV show and at least the information for it. But music, Spotify and Apple Music, but I really appreciate people's support. This is what keeps us, you guys know this keeps us going. And I think it's cool that you guys are, the biggest things are formed, the greatest, God has keys. And that key is wisdom. I really do believe it. Knowledge it's wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. Mm-hmm. And I just think that there's a lot of mistakes that God can keep us from when we seek this wisdom. You know what I mean? That can keep us from, losing a lot of money and losing followers even. And so that's why it's important not to rush into things, but I think it's key to just be patient and allow God to download ideas. And then when he does download ideas, do the first thing and then keep doing it. But be okay with building something that people don't understand. Be okay with, just people not getting it. And ask God, what is the key? Because I think God wants to give us those keys. And be bold and ask him for the keys. You know what I mean? Ask him for the wisdom. He says in his word that wisdom brings witty inventions. What does that mean? Ideas from heaven that nobody knows about. I think these ideas are for the taking, and don't let anyone else take your idea, because if you don't do it, God might give it to someone else, right?
Yeah. Good. Well, we have to be entrepreneurs in the music industry in so many ways, and it's good to have a bunch of different balls in the air and be doing other things that can tie over, and other things that can, we don't have to be singers to impact other people, help other people, or impact them for the kingdom of God. I think that's really amazing. And you're maybe the first name next to your name should be entrepreneur, and then maybe musician.
I love that. Well, can I share one more thing? I forgot about this one.
Yeah.
I since I've been studying wisdom a lot, I learned that wisdom is the key to great songwriting. So
yeah,
I read something and I cross-referenced it. I think it was in 1 Kings 4, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, in that area. It said that it was talking about how Solomon had wisdom. And then it said Solomon wrote 3,000 Proverbs. And guess what? After talking about the wisdom Solomon had, 3,000 Proverbs, and it said 1,005 songs. The greatest selling song of all time is Song of Solomon. The greatest, and obviously he doesn't have a copyright on it, and it's the Bible, no one owns it, But what I'm saying is, the greatest selling song was written by the man who had wisdom, and he wrote 1,005 songs. I'm just saying, there's a key there, that when we ask for wisdom, that there's actually keys that unlock the best songs, melodies from heaven, lyrics from our King. God is the greatest songwriter of all time. I do believe that he wants to bestow wisdom and songwriting on us. Absolutely. If we ask, if we're diligent to seek it.
And he's given us the creative mind to do that. So
he has, and he wants to give these gifts to us.
100%.
Well, that's such an encouragement. I think it's a great way to kind of bring everything to a close. So what we want to do real quick as we kind of just wrap this up is do a couple more rapid fire questions, just so people can get to know you a little bit better, even better than they already have. But I'm going to ask you, do you have a most embarrassing on stage?
Oh, man. Yeah, it's when I fall on stage, which I've done a couple times, and then when my zipper's down on stage. And then another thing is when my in-ear monitors mess up and I'm in the middle of a song and you can't stop the song and things are going haywire, you can't hear yourself. It's so embarrassing because I get so self-conscious about it. And I'm like, oh, I probably sound terrible right now.
Okay, what's your go-to Starbucks order?
Or a coffee order, because you have a coffee place in Nashville, by the way.
I do. I actually, the thing about Starbucks, as much as I rag on it, I do go there often because it's the most consistent place when you're on the road. You know what I mean?
Exactly. That's why I asked, because I knew you were a coffee guy, but
yeah,
Starbucks is where you're going to get it,
So I think it's the cold brew. The cold brew with the foam. You know how they do like the Irish foam and different things. I love that. Mm-hmm. I love the salted caramel mocha. I don't do their black coffee. I think it's terrible. I'm so sorry. I know that's probably offensive to many people out there, but
no. All right. What's your favorite vacation spot?
Oh, man. You know what? I haven't been there, but it would have been the Greek Isles. Because I was booked on a cruise from this organization that brings their donors on this year, and they just canceled it, and it was to the Greek Isles.
That's sick.
So sad, but that would have been my favorite. I mean, it looks beautiful on paper.
Okay, so this is the most loaded question of the whole time. So ribeye, New York strip, or fillet?
Ribeye.
And what temperature?
That's what I'm talking about.
What temp?
I can't touch them other ones. Medium.
Medium ribeye.
Medium. Well, what do you call it? A Pittsburgh medium. Now,
Medium
have
rare.
you heard of Pittsburgh? No, have you heard of Pittsburgh?
Oh,
So,
yes.
Pittsburgh, medium Pittsburgh. That's how I do it.
Okay. I need to look that up. I haven't heard I don't know what Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh, they take what I understand of Pittsburgh is they take a fatter piece and they char the fat while they cook it medium.
Yeah.
So you have like bacon. It's basically eating bacon fat.
Hey, so last question as we wrap this thing up. What is it that you're the most grateful for?
My kids and my family and the house I live in. I know that's like 3 things, but this house that we live in was literally a gift from God. And I know people say that, but it's one of the greatest miracles we walked into this house. As you guys saw in the early part of the interview, there's a guest house, which is my in-laws staying there. And it was supernatural how this house came to us. It wasn't on the market. A lady was praying. And while we were looking for a home, God had blocked this other thing that I was really trying to do. And when this lady called my realtor, she said, I was praying today, and the Lord told me that the house I'm buying out of foreclosure does not belong to me. It belongs to the Gokeys. And then God there was other prophetic moments along the way that God showed, that it actually fulfilled like someone who's very prophetic in my life. She had a dream about this exact house 10 years earlier before I got it, and how many kids I would have, what the gender of my kids would be. Like it was such a prophetic moment. And so like being here with my family to this day is a gift.
Well, you know what, Danny, thank you. You're an inspiration for a lot of us and an encouragement. And one of the things that I got out of this interview today was that there's victory in the struggle, and
Amen.
there's hope for those that are, maybe just not seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. So appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thanks for being real with us, man.
Yeah.
It's my pleasure, guys.
Man, Jeff and Jordan, that was a really fun interview. Like, what were some things that you took away from your conversation with Danny?
Well, the thing I love most about Danny is just how family oriented he is. It's really neat to just see him hanging out with his kids and just being so real and honest. And there's nothing like pretentious about him. He's just so real. But the thing that one of the things that he said in that interview that was really awesome was his desire in the pursuit of wisdom. And as he pursues wisdom, it helps him make great decisions for his family, for his ministry. He says, but it's also so influential on writing great songs.
Yeah.
And I thought that was so powerful. And for all of us who are creative types, the best way we can fulfill our creative aspirations is to gain wisdom.
Yeah.
And I thought that was such a powerful statement.
That's a good point.
And yeah, what a great guy. It was awesome having him on the show today. If you want to get more of these VeriTalks episodes, make sure to subscribe so you'll get notified every time we release a new one. Also, go check us out on Patreon.
Yes.
Bonus content from these VeriTalks episodes. We have some exclusive episodes that are only available on Patreon. A bunch of behind the scenes footage. There's even opportunity on there for voice lessons and virtual hangouts with us, just a bunch of random stuff. So go check us out on Patreon. And then, of course, you can find us on all socials at Veritas5. Thank you guys so much for watching this episode. And here is to your next big idea.
Bum, 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 bum.